Okay, so we have a new video by Depressed Nasagi. Why Hololive wins by doing nothing. I think this is a good, interesting video to watch because it is kind of a question that I've sort of asked because it's true. It's true. It inherently is true. I mean, not that Hololive does like nothing, but I mean like Hololive, as in like Hololive does win by doing nothing, as in Hololive just like doing their own thing. They're winning. Like, they are, at this point, in the VTuber, like, corporate sphere. They're winning. They are. They very much so are winning.
I wanted this video to be titled The Absolute State of Hololive, and it's basically going to be formatted the same way the Absolute State of VShoujo or the Absolute State of Sanji goes. Mostly leaning towards the VShoujo video, where I break down the problems that Hololive has and why and how it hinders them, how different general demographics perceive them both negatively and positively, broadly going to cover over their flaws. However, the more I went and wrote my script, the more I began to compare them with other VTuber agencies,
and
trying to find things that
yeah,
other VTuber agencies do better than Hololive, such as
and I don't know. I don't know what other. I don't know what ones already do like much better.
In VShoujo, where the talents do keep the IP. But the more I did that, the more I realized that there is not much things a lot of VTuber agencies do.
Yeah, I think obviously yeah, people who leave are able to keep the the property, and the VTuber model obviously is actively a good thing. But I mean, VShoujo might be like literally the only one that lets you do that. And also I think VShoujo is a little bit different just because of the way VShoujo kind of is. It's sort of, inherently already more adoption based, but it's like, to really get these like talents in these already like established VTubers that could go out there and very easily on their own have their own platforms. It's like, I don't really know, somebody leaves an agency, are they really going to then want to join your agency and then not own the model or not own the channel, the property of the VTuber? Because a lot of the times people do leave, and that is like one of the reasons, because they leave because they want, they've built a big enough audience where they can do it on their own, and because they have an established audience already and they want more creative freedom. So it's like, I don't think if you are restricting these VTubers who have already left their pre-established positions in companies and they already are like, a big established, at this point, creator who could be a VTuber as an indie and do just fine. Like, for like, Matara and like Koro, Henya, it's like, it doesn't really make sense if there wasn't creative freedoms that they're giving you. It just really wouldn't make any sense for them to leave their agencies and then to join another agency also being restricted. This doesn't really make logical sense. So it's like, I don't know any other company really who would do would do things like VShoujo. I mean, VShoujo is sort of a different entity in itself.
Better than Hololive, aside from some perks that VShoujo gives and percentage cuts.
Yeah.
The general criticism, while some is exacerbated in Hololive due to its own environment, is something that applies to most other agencies as well.
Yeah.
Unicorns, parasocialism,
Yeah,
certain
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
parts of idol culture.
Yeah, definitely parasocialism is, yeah, definitely.
Other agencies as well. Unicorn.
Like, like unicorns, like, the fan base can be toxic. A minority of the fan base, obviously. But you knew he's doing the ASMR stream and shouldn't be interrupted in the first place. You still kept poking him to apply to you and asking chat to remind him to apply. I understand your thought, it's funny or something, but oh yeah, this is the whole, if you don't know, what was it? I think Raimi was playing a game on stream, and then she asked Vox, like DM'd Vox for like advice or asked him a question, and then it like, I guess, quote unquote interrupted Vox's, dating stream, like POV on a date with Vox, and he stopped to like talk to Raimi on stream, like call her on Discord or something like that, or message her, and then so people got mad because she interrupted their power social date.
Parasocialism, certain parts of idol culture, Yuri bait, Yaoi bait, GFE, BFE, these are all industry-wide. Granted, I have not
Yaoi bait, Yuri bait is a real thing.
seen their contracts or know about their inner workings. We've seen the Nijisanji contract and we know how bad it is, and Hololive could have similar issues. Their
not
contract
wrong.
might only just be slightly better than Niji's. They might even have a contract for people that they terminate. Behind the scenes, they could have their own favoritism,
Not
their
wrong.
own internal issues here and there that makes talents upset and sad. That has happened before, and it still keeps happening, I would actually argue. Not just to Hololive, but other agencies as well. And if I can't find a problem that's exclusive to Hololive or is greatly worse in the company, if I can't find a problem in Hololive that's inherently unique to them, that's rooted in their business model
Right.
and their mode of operation, then what can I say about Hololive that isn't already being said, or is
Right, because it's like it's not a whole like specific thing. Like you could just say this like you could say that as a broad spectrum for just like VTuber companies as a whole. It's not really something that's specific to all.
already internalized by the fan base? Really, the only people that is none too pleased about Hololive's business model is the goddamn investors that want to make more money and squeeze more
Right,
cents
yeah,
from the fan base and
true.
the talents. Really, the problem that Hololive has are problems that every agency has in their own ways.
Yeah.
The more I thought about it, the absolute state of Hololive is the absolute state of the VTuber industry. Even to this day, the industry still follows their example, and some thankfully innovating and improving on the precedents they set. But in terms of what they can give to their talents, the sheer amount of support and community involvement, professionalism, and managerial capabilities, overall, Hololive is still the top VTuber agency whose leadership and position remains unchallenged in the industry.
Definitely.
And that became the direction of the script of the absolute state of Hololive video. But at that point, I was just essentially sucking on Hololive's cock while complaining about the hairs getting stuck in my teeth. That's a bad figure.
What the fuck? Why add that at the end? Does that even happen? How does that even happen? I don't. Why am I questioning this? Like, if you suck a cock, and like their pubes get stuck in your teeth. How does that even happen? I'm just, okay. Why am I even questioning that? What I don't know why I have the question. I don't know why the speak on that. But I mean, I don't know.
Speech. I'm still working on my wordplay, okay? Point is, the whole script was just me praising the company while nitpicking and expanding on problems that people already know, and again, problems that are not unique or infinitely worse in Hololive. And at that point, it was no longer an absolute state video. So, I decided to make an entirely new script. And the thesis of that script is the title of the video that you're watching right now. This is a video explaining how Hololive wins by doing absolutely nothing. Or at least, that's what a lot of fans say. Because it's a very common trend, not just in this industry, but even in other places like video games, where a timeless classic just sits in there and still pulls in good numbers, while spiritual future successors of their genre try and hilariously fail to one-up them. Back 4 Blood to Left 4 Dead 2, Overwatch 2 to Twin Fortress
True. Yeah, it's true.
2, among other examples.
Okay, well using the
Blood to Left 4 Dead 2, Overwatch 2.
using Steam for Team Fortress is probably not the best comparison, obviously, because I think most people play it like, most people like use the Blizzard. I don't know what you call it. The Blizzard store to play it more. I don't know.
2 to Twin Fortress 2, among other examples. But while that thesis statement
but
sounds
what he says is
badass
true.
regardless of its context or whatever the topic is, the fact of the matter is, it's not actually true. The company does a lot of smart and hard work behind the scenes.
Oh,
to make everything happen.
definitely, they do a lot of
course,
smart
I think
shit.
most people who pass on this phrase knows this, but I just wanted to say that for the people who genuinely think so. It's just that many VTuber agencies collapse while Hololive is doing relatively okay. I want to enumerate.
I mean, that is true, but then it's kind of just like it's. I think it's based on like compared to some of these like smaller agencies, like basically every single one of these besides Niji is that Hololive like Cover Corp is in a position Well, they don't need to do anything because these are more like companies who are up and coming and are trying to play catch up to an already established company with like probably millions and millions of dollars, who have the success already, the money already, to basically do whatever they want. And all these other small agencies who don't have the resources, don't have the money in comparison, because it's like they're starting from square one in comparison to like Hololive, where they already are at now, right? So you are at this point, you're playing catch up. Like, there's more of a likeliness that you are going to fail because the competition is so much higher now, and there's so much more competition. A lot of these companies just don't have the same amount of money that Hololive has, the same amount of resources that Hololive has. They're just a lot smaller agencies. Like, it's like you are more likely to fail at this point in time in comparison to starting a VTuber agency earlier on, because there wasn't as much competition, right? But now there's, it's like it's stacked against you, right? Like, starting a VTuber agency today in comparison to starting a VTuber agency like 4 years ago, it is stacked against you. Not saying, obviously, if you start a VTuber agency like back in 2020, like 2019, you're like, oh, guaranteed to succeed, or not saying that a VTuber company today can't succeed, but it's just like, obviously, in comparison to, like, competition and that, the industry being already established, having like pre-established companies already, it's hard to want to get like new eyes on you, but no, but this is very true though. A lot of agencies are just collapsing, dissolving, like everything. I mean, Prism Project literally is shutting down, so I mean that's kind of collapsed, but at least they didn't end on like a sour note.
Collapse, while Hololive is doing relatively okay. I want to enumerate on a few key points on how Hololive.
I mean, if you were comparing Hololive is doing like okay, but I guess in comparison to like literally every other VTuber agency, they're doing incredible. Well, in the sense of like these obviously are English speaking agencies. If we looked at Japanese, like because obviously people need to remember that there's so many other Japanese only speaking agencies. So when there's also like that comparison, because when we're the Western audience, we're the English speaking audience only. So we're only looking at the English speaking VTubers. Like Nasagi's only looking at the English VTuber, the English VTubing companies here, as in all the VTuber agencies that obviously are Western, or Japanese VTuber agencies that have an English branch. But obviously there's a ton of VTuber agencies that only have Japanese talents that are in Japan and they only speak Japanese. And when we can, you could definitely compare some of those to Hololive, and I'm sure that it's not as bad, and that maybe some big Japanese VTuber agency that could be somewhat comparable in what they do.
Doing relatively okay. I want to enumerate on a few key points on how Hololive achieves this, because, like what I've said in prior videos, Hololive did not start this way.
Yeah.
They started their first gen with a termination. Their management was exploitative and took advantage of some talents. Their management made decisions and mistakes that absolutely fucked over their talents' careers and genuinely upset them.
But they're
they
not
were
perfect.
the center of a very disastrous PR situation that not only spelled bad for their internal environment, but also to the reputation and trust the fan base had for the company. Yes, there was more than one time where the fans turned their backs on the company, where even I turned my back on them.
No.
However, they have taken steps to grow beyond
Yeah,
that.
I think it's the fact of like they like when you look at it in comparison to Nishi Sanji, I think it's just like, instead of learning from their mistakes and moving forward, what Hololive did, it's like Nishi Sanji doubles down and doesn't take accountability. And that's the inherent difference.
Letting the mistakes shape a better environment instead of letting it fester. Their disasters usually were patched up within a year of their happening, and change and improvement seems to be relatively fast for their scale. And that is because of reason 1, feedback and improvement. Cover Corp seems to know how volatile and terrible loud and upset fan base can get.
Yeah.
They do care about their investors
definitely the
and
VTuber fan
shareholders and the
base.
people that they have to answer to business-wise, but first and foremost, they care about the fans and talents. Of course, this does not necessarily apply all the time because as a company, Cover Corp has to make money as
Yeah,
their
obviously,
primary directive
yeah.
and make decisions that their talents and fan base may disagree with, how heavily and emotional it might get. It happens to all companies, but Cover Corp takes that one extra step to make up for the parties that get involved, such as the case recently, when there were massive complaints of the Fifth Fest foods getting delayed, and people were getting rowdy and upset over it on social media. Normally, a problem like this in any other convention gets fixed in the next year, if it even gets fixed at all. However, they managed to fix it literally on the next day.
Yeah, that is impressive. Yeah, it's true. It is true. Like, not a lot of conventions are gonna fix that, like, right away.
Another case was when the Hololive summer event of 2023 got issues due to the streaming platform failing on them. They literally make day 1 free. It was a problem that was primarily the fault of the streaming platform, yet Cover Corp was the one who made up for it for the community's sake. A decision that I don't think any other company would do because it would result in some big financial losses.
Yeah.
Again,
Wow,
they
I
are
didn't know
far
they
from
did
perfect.
that.
There are some things they do, even to this day, that I fundamentally disagree with, but the one thing that I can count on is the fact that they'll always do right by their community, even if it is something that is a financial loss for them. That's also the crux of the second reason: content over profit and risky innovations and investment. Using the second example I gave you guys earlier, where they made day 1 of Hololive Summer free, I want to emphasize that this action, this prioritization of content and fun, was not a one-off decision that Cover Corp made. This is a behavior from them that has been consistent for a while now. See, not many VTuber agencies like to take too big of a risk or hefty investments.
Yeah, right.
Understandably so, because not many agencies...
I mean, they're business, right? Yeah, it's understandable that... I mean, because, like, it's this thing is, like, to gauge is sort of, like... Because it's... To be honest, it's kind of like, when you are smaller, you may not have the ability to take those kinds of risks, because obviously the risk to reward factor can be so much more fundamentally damaging in comparison to Hololive, which, like, if they made if they did something like nowadays and they did like like a risk or a leap of faith, it's not like if that risk failed, I don't think it's gonna be like so like fundamentally like damaging to their finances to like go bankrupt. But it's like if you're a small company or a small agency with not that much money, not that much resources, risking something or putting your money into something, if that fails, that can can be like detrimental to everything. And so it is like the concept of like positions. It's like, oh well, they can afford to lose out on money for HoloFest in 2023 or Summerfest, whatever that stream was, because of the position they are in. But a small company genuinely may not have the finances to actually be able to do that, because the loss in revenue could be fundamentally like damaging to the company as a whole. When you are a small company with not as much money, with not as much resources, you may fundamentally cannot afford to lose that money. And that is, like, obviously not saying that, it's not a nice gesture, but it's just sort of just, like, thinking about, they're in the position where they can do that, in comparison to when we look at small agencies. Some of these small agencies, I don't think genuinely can. Like, fundamentally, like, financially, I don't think they can afford to actually do that, because doing something like making the stream free would be fundamentally, like, terrible for their finances, because Hololive has the money, but they can afford to lose out on that profit, which another small company may not be able to.
are in a position or have the privilege to be able to do
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But Cover Corp can and have. Almost a year ago, they announced a $20 million mocap studio that took a year and a half to create. This would not just allow Hololive to make 3D performances smoother, much more convenient and generally
Wow, the
better.
green
This would
room?
even allow other corporations or companies to be able to utilize the studio as
Oh,
well.
wait, really?
Because back in the past, 3D performances were a mess, with some members sharing stories about how 3D recordings were sometimes inconvenient. This is not your regular mocap studio, by the way. This is one of the biggest mocap studios in Japan.
Wow.
Bigger than 10 tennis courts combined.
That's crazy.
They are also heavily investing into expansion. A proper expansion, even. By opening up shop and setting up a Cover Corp USA subsidiary. A move that no other VTuber agency has even begun doing.
No.
There's also Holo Earth and Hololive Alternative, a game and a metaverse project, which, although we've only seen trailers for, we don't have anything substantial aside from Holo Earth's bare bones beta. Still, I think the fact that they are expanding and taking risks like this, even if it might fail, is ultimately a good thing. Because it means that the company has a vision beyond VTubing. Content creation and influencers, you see, have a very
I think that's the fact. One of the factors of why I think Hololive is so successful is because of Yago's visions of innovation and Yago's like mentality of sort of like, you know, not being stuck in one place and just VTubing. Like Yago seems somebody who he's very smart. Like he builds upon things, and he's like, you know, he's evolutionary in the sense of like in VTubing. Like he's not just building like a VTube. It doesn't like, I don't think Hololive or Cover Corp like just ends at being a VTuber company. He wants to expand it into entertainment and expand Hololive to an even bigger, broader thing. And that mentality is what I think you need in order to have a successful company. You build upon things, you expand your horizons, and Yago isn't afraid to expand those horizons. You know, with like Holostars and Hololive, you know, he's like expanding, and that's what you need to do as a company, I think, in order to succeed. And I think Yago just has the right mentality. I think Yago has the right vision, and he understands what he's doing. So I just think it's like Yago's just a very smart businessman, and I think he contributes a massive part as to why Hololive is successful, and I think it is because of Yago.
limited lifespan. It's really only a matter of the algorithm stopping itself from promoting certain content
Definitely.
to take down entire careers. Cover Corp has a vision of becoming, in Yago's words, an entity like Disney. The fact that Yago has a grander vision for Hololive's direction, of whose success is yet to determine, is already better than most VTuber agencies.
Yeah.
You ask most VTuber CEOs' vision, and they probably won't be able to tell you where they are and where their company will be 5 years from now.
Yeah.
It is what makes Hololive special. It is part of how they consistently stay on top of the game. But going back on the whole behavior where they prioritize quality over profits and short-term gain, an instance of this is the Q&A interview with their shareholders, who kinda wants more money to the detriment of the staff and talents, to which Yago quite literally said that those people are much more important, and it seems like so far he's keeping true to this statement. Of course, people are much more important, and it seems
while our first priority as a company is to support the activities of our talent by diversifying and distributing our business portfolio, we believe profitability can also be improved. For example, expanding the licensing business increases revenue, not directly dependent on VTuber activities, which can improve profitability and flexibility in individual VTubers' activities and make it easier to balance the needs of various stakeholders.
Seems like so far he's keeping true to his statement. Of course, this behavior don't just apply in big and grand events where they have to answer to a certain authority. It can also be seen in smaller things like Fuamoko. As a concept of having two members share one account, Fuamoko is not supposed to be profitable. Because it makes more sense for the two to be separated. That way, they can...
Right, it's very true, because you have to pay, you know, two people for, you know, one entity. Like, it's not... That's not profitable. Like, because it's not like they're two separated talents. They are paying like both of these people, like both of these talents for like one channel. Like it's not necessarily a profitable endeavor.
Separately earn money from fans, and the company would have two more revenue streams they can take instead of one. The fact that they've even allowed this to happen means that they have an open mind when it comes to content. They are willing to explore and take on new ideas, even if it comes with the cost of potentially cutting one or two more revenue sources. That being said, the underlying motive in all of these decisions is good PR, which it's working. However, again, since Cover Corp is a company, their bottom line is to get as much money as they can. But Cover Corp so far has provided a great and enviable balance of trying to get as much money as they can, whilst at the same time providing care and treatment of their talents, staff, and the people they outsource. Not just to the talents within their home base, but even to the talents outside Japan. Even if those members face inconvenient and seemingly unfair circumstances, like having their flights not be paid for at times or 3D live firms being difficult to pursue. Cover Corp, despite literally being a smaller company and has fewer talents, still has more staff, more projects, more facilities, and thus
that is crazy that like Ho has more, like that's crazy that Hololive is has less talents but more employees. That's bad. That's not good. Like, how does Hololive has 100 plus more talents and employees than Nichi Sanji? That's bad. That's not good. I mean, because like look at the ratio. Like 159 talents, 388 employees. That's not good. That's not good. Like you need more employees. Like you generally need more. Like Nichi Sanji should have a lot more. Like they should be literally in comparison. Like, I don't know, because they should have more employees in Cover. Like 500, maybe like 600, I don't know, 700, like more. Like because you have more talents.
More maintenance costs.
Like, and that kind of shows, like, it has hurt the company that it shows by what any color, like, does and operates. Like, you need more employees because you have so many talents.
And people to pay. But despite that, their revenue is almost going toe-to-toe with Nijisanji.
That's crazy.
The biggest VTuber agency in the world with infinitely less management, projects, investments, facilities, and maintenance costs, despite Nijisanji being literally made to profit max. At a certain point, they should be losing more money than earning it, but they're not. Your super chats, donations, and financial support for Hololive and Cover is not wasted. You can actually see where your money is going. You can actually see amenities and projects being made. Supporting Hololive means supporting the talents in more ways than just financially. But we are not even done yet. Reason number 4 is their interesting way to maintain community trust despite of drama, negative connotations, and absolute seething. See, here's the thing. You bet your ass Cover Corp has made some enemies in the shape of their former talents or former employees or even some business partners. Perhaps said figures signed something that prevents them from speaking out against the company. Some forms of drama and misfortune look weird and sus on Hololive's part as a company as well, such as the pseudo-graduation termination thing that happened regarding Magni and Vesper's departure. But regardless of that, they still look good. What I am trying to say is that they have this way to quell outrage or make themselves generally look good. The company is quite professional from the outside looking in despite the drama around it. Essentially, they have excellent PR.
I think though they definitely have way better PR than some of these other companies. I think some of these other companies, they seem to want to like punch down, like punch down on these talents that like if they get into controversy like a termination or graduation, like we've seen this right from some of like the Niji Sanji graduations, the Niji Sanji terminations, some like even some other companies, even Idol with like who is that Riro, like it feels like they want to punch downward instead of just sort of letting it go, because in the long run, just trying to just end things on like respectable terms is probably the most beneficial for you, because even in like the Rusia situation, which is more probably extreme than most of these graduations from like, or terminations, right? Most of these terminations from all these other companies, Rusia's was probably one of the most extreme ever. But Hololive, on their termination note, did it in a respectful way. They didn't just like let out the dirty laundry, like, you know, just like make a giant list of like everything that Rusia did, because that doesn't help. It doesn't. I don't think it does. I think that like it's the difference is I just think Hololive has really great PR, and they go about handling these situations in a better way than places like Niji Sanji or like Idol, these other kinds, like, you know, the Watame, was it no, wait, it wasn't Watame, sorry, it wasn't Watame, so who was the member that got terminated recently? It wasn't Watame. I'm sorry, Watame. Wait. Okay, I'm sorry. I just blanked out who it was. Was it Watame? Was it Watame? No. No, it's not Watame. Not me. Oh my god. How I blanked out on who this is. Oh, Mel, that's, okay, so that's who it is, Mel, okay. Yeah, the Mel situation, like, they handled that in, like, the best way possible, because I feel like that, for, like, most other companies, like, imagine if that happened to Niji, like, compare, like, the way they reacted with Selene, I'm sure that Niji would have let out all the dirty laundry and made it sort of feel controversial. And it's just the way that Hololive handles these things with their PR is great. Is great that they, and that I think is beneficial to them.
Talents, even if they might not agree with each other behind the scenes or even their managers, are at the very least cordial with each other.
Yeah.
Even if some female talents are averse to males for obvious reasons. And generally speaking, they know how to make their talents not misbehave or say something stupefyingly cancelable on any of their social media. This creates this air of professionalism and sanitation to their brand and presence. However, at times it can appear as if they're too clean, too perfect, boring and bland to many people who wish to see genuine, unfiltered chaos. But despite those feelings, however valid it may be, it's worked on having them avoid issues or be involved in drama that plague Twitter all the time. Their political opinions, their hard stances on matters that they may or may not fully understand, that'll ruffle a few fellow VTubers' feathers or turn away some sponsors or upset some fan bases. Those are not aired out. In general, they are a safe space for people who genuinely want to be entertained. They are as audience and brand safe as you can get, and this careful weft and weave of issues again has its own up and downsides, but generally speaking, it works. And it's why people appreciate this entertainment-focused side to them a lot. And another reason why this community trust is so massive is because of not just their content, but their engagement with the fans as well. Hololive has this way of engaging with their JP and EN fan bases, where they encourage fan works,
that's a
generally
massive
involve
thing.
their fans in very fun stuff. Holo Indie has become a thing, a program where game developers who made fan games of Hololive can actually monetize their passion projects and be officially supported by the
massive,
company.
yeah.
Although their processes are still very Japanese.
I mean, because a lot of other companies, they would shut those kind of things down. I mean, look at what Nintendo does. You know, like how Nintendo operates. They would, yeah, they're gonna fuck you over.
They're taking the steps to actually break new ground and reward people for participating in the community. The last reason, though, is talent treatment and management. Before I say anything regarding this matter, I think I'm going to get burned by a few die-hard Holo fans here when I say that there is a fair bit of truth whenever someone says that The Nijisanji contract is something of a Japanese industry-wide problem. Like I said, even if I shout on the Nijisanji contract a lot, I think Hololive's contract is only slightly better.
Probably.
It most likely is not as glamorous and totally perfect as
Like,
a lot of...
it is still a Japanese company. Like, the reality is, like, it being a Japanese company, it probably isn't, like this magical, like, thing that's 10 times better. Because it's just how Japanese companies operate. It's the truth, yeah.
starry-eyed, rose-tinted praises that a lot of fans give it. People still struggle in there. Goals and potential desires still get rejected, dreams can sometimes be denied. But despite that, they're still arguably the best in terms of the opportunities and management they do for their talents, just due to the sheer clout and power they receive compared to literally every single
definitely.
agency. At the very least, they seem to treat their talents better. They get to own their play buttons and own their achievements.
Oh my god, which shouldn't even be a plus, but it is.
Able to fulfill their performative dreams if they have it. The sheer number of opportunities you'll get if your vision and content aligns with that of Hololive will be absolutely massive. It's actually undisputedly the best in the entire VTubing space currently if you're not big already. And that is because they focus on quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Making sure to choose and nurture the fitting talents that they find rather than rapid mass hiring talents and
Like
treating them
Sanji.
like products to be pumped out from a factory. It's hard not to compare Hololive with other VTuber agencies such as their rival Nijisanji, because this video's premise requires comparison, and studying this
obviously, yeah.
it requires number ending and comparisons as well. And quite frankly, the reason Hololive stands out and why they are the golden standard is because the standard is not that high. Everyone else just kinda sucks or can't offer the same things they can. The VTubing sphere in general kinda sucks when it comes to treating their talents aside from a few key notable agencies. Majorly speaking, everyone else treats their talents the same way. That is why, while it's a major achievement and a point of praise to call Hololive the golden standard, they shouldn't be the golden standard.
No.
I think there should be something better than that. I think the contractual terms should be better. I think agencies should step out of the traditional Japanese standards and go for something that's a bit more, well, favorable for the talents. Flexibility, better contractual rates, more avenues to make and monetize more content, a better balance of freedom and protective restrictions, better customizability.
True. And then there's I think it's just like the reality is that Japanese corporations and Japanese companies, a lot of the time, that the way that industry is, it's always more the contract is always like more beneficial to the company than it is beneficial to you as a talent. And a lot of Japanese companies are malicious, and a lot of the contracts are malicious. It's just how it is. Honestly, it really is how it is. I mean, you see it in the Japanese like industry, in these companies, like Japanese offices, like how they treat their employees. Not saying that Hololive obviously does that. I'm just saying as like a whole, as like how the Japanese workplace is, it's not healthy. It's not great. And I think some of these VTuber agencies are a reflection of that.
Among many other things. I think it's not idealistic to wish for these things to exist. Of course, I think in the future, a lot of other agencies are going to adopt genuinely great changes to stand out from current competitors. So while I think
that's true. No, I think that is true, because like to get people in, you obviously have to give people a reason, and I think that's sort of what, in essence, what V Shoujo kind of has done. Where they are like, oh hey, you know, we give you more benefits compared to all these other companies, all these other agencies. You get more freedom than these other companies, and that's what gets them in, right? That's what gets Matara in. That's what gets Koro in. That's what gets Henya in. That's what's gonna get more people in. And if they had these same sort of restrictions as these other VTuber companies, they wouldn't join. They would be indies, 100%. Because they could do it as an indie. I mean, Mataro's talked about she was going to be an indie. Koro would have been an indie. And I think like V Shoujo is sort of this starting point where you see that, where I think that some cases, yes, some of these companies may actually offer more, not even because they care, but it's like about like it's not even about them genuinely caring. It's more about, oh, they see it as beneficial to them as a company, because it's like, oh, well, if we offer more, then it's more likely that we're able to get possibly some of these bigger talents in, or these more established people into our company. And that, obviously, overall, that is a good thing. Where there's this practice of like, oh, well, there's competition, and if there's competition, well, we need to offer more for you to come. It's like, in the sense, it's like these sort of industries, entertainment industries as a whole, the music industry, if, I don't know, if Taylor Swift left her music label and was like, hey guys, I'm a free agent, I wanna, like, I wanna join a new music label, obviously, they're gonna fucking throw the bag at her, they're gonna, like, try and, bid against her and offer the most beneficial, the best things ever for her, it's that sort of, it's that sort of aspect of things, when an industry gets competitive, it's sort of this like competition when they offer more and more and more, because obviously to operate as an agency and to succeed as an agency, you kind of do need talents, and as a small agency, getting a bigger name in could be so beneficial. So it's sort of that thing, right? I think the industry is going in a direction, when the industry gets bigger, when more competition gets bigger, there may be this thing where it actually gets better in terms of offering better contracts and better things, because just based off of the competition and based off, oh, we want to succeed as if you genuinely want to succeed as a company, you want to get some of these free agents in, like Koro, like Mataro, like Kenya. You want to get these people into your company, and the only way you're going to get some of these people in is to offer them more.
Matter of time until things get better, especially for newer agencies. I think some of these established agencies should start improving themselves.
Yes.
Imposter syndrome is really big and common here in the VTubing scene.
Yeah.
People often don't think they deserve the success that they have.
100%.
And
yeah.
if some people get into an agency, they pin the entire reason of their success
on the agency.
to the agency
yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
And while that's true for a significant part, it's not entirely the case. One might need an agency to be recognized and to succeed, but an agency also needs great talent to be recognized and to succeed themselves. It's valid to be grateful to the agency that you belong to.
I think it's about building upon a foundation. You can be thankful for, yes, like sometimes people join an agency, or what the agency does for you is it gives you a break. As in, it gives you the eyes that you may not have had as an individual. And you can be definitely, you can definitely be thankful for that. But the thing is, and the reality is, to a certain extent, you need to know how to handle that audience. And it takes a skill and an ability to be able to join one of the, to join a Hololive and to join an Sanji and to build upon the audience they give you and to grow and to make revenue for them. And that takes a skill, and that takes talent, that takes hard work and effort that you have. That's why, not anybody that joins an agency is automatically just going to be successful long term. You're not, this is why, a lot of the time, there's auditions, there's interviews, people, get more pre-established creators, because it takes certain individuals to be able to build upon the foundation that's given to you in order to be a successful content creator. Because you can be given, you can join Hololive and be given your 200, 300, 400k subscribers, but if you don't know how to handle that kind of audience and how to, grow as a creator, you're not going to, actually succeed in the future or be able to build upon the foundation they give you. And that's why you can take credit as a creator, as an individual. They picked you for a reason, because you have the talent. talent. You have the skill. Because in order to get into these agencies, you have to have something to offer them. If you get into Hololive, you deserve it because you have a skill and you have talent that they are looking for. So, like, being given the audience for joining the agency is based off of your own skill set. It's based off of your own talents and skills.
Or have helped you and you wanting to repay them. But one needs to give a little credit to themselves.
Yes,
have a little
yeah.
self-respect. Know and recognize your worth, because the fact of the matter is, these agencies, these companies calling their internal environment family or friends and lulling you into it,
It's bullshit.
they don't mean that.
It's fucking bullshit.
It's crazy how little an individual VTuber matters when it comes to a termination or a graduation from an agency. How, in most cases, VTubers can feel as if they are not as important or valued as they thought they were. Agencies really only scramble when a big money-making talent leaves.
Yeah.
But most people are not in that position. Most people are not in that top percentile of being even fortunate enough to be favored.
100%.
So if most agencies don't see your worth, that's gonna have to be something you recognize for yourself.
It's like,
Of course,
bye-bye.
what I say here is not a universal truth. It depends on certain circumstances, on your financial well-being, your needs and wants, your goal, your current relationship with the agency. One might
Definitely.
think it's easy for me to say what I am saying right now, and I understand that, but at the very least, take some pride in yourself and your work. Learn to request and demand better, haggle, negotiate.
Yes.
Your achievement is not all theirs, even if they gave you the platform.
I think a lot of these people, like, they don't, like, you do need to have some sort of ground to stand on, because companies inherently are trying to get one over you. You need to have self-respect and confidence in yourself and know your self-worth to negotiate things, and to, it's okay to negotiate things, because you should have the self-respect to be getting a good deal if you're joining one of these companies or agencies, because you can very easily, the whole concept of, like, these agencies and companies, they walk over you. They're trying to, they get one over you. They want to get the most out of you, which is the most beneficial to themselves and not you. And that's why a lot of the time you should negotiate to make things the best for yourself.
It's yours. You put in the hours, you learned to entertain, you navigated the industry. Your skills got you noticed, you got yourself to where you are now.
Yes.
Your relationship with an agency is ultimately transactional. And that is going to be where it all and how it all boils down to in moments that matter. And I think that's really my last and strongest message for this video. Never, ever treat any company and agency as if they're your friend or family. Because corpos are your friends until one day...
Yeah, that's it. Like, it's the difference between, like, a VTuber group or, like, in comparison to a company. A VTuber group, you can treat as your family, because those are generally your friends. Like, in comparison to, like, a company, you need to differentiate that. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy this. If you did enjoy this video, please consider like and subscribe and go to the channel for more feature related videos. Well, let me know down in the comments what you guys think. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.